Welcome to the Story a Day podcast. This is Julie Duffy from storyaday.org, encouraging you to be a writer every day, not someday.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Julie here from Story a Day. Can I be a little honest and a little vulnerable with you? I have not been writing as much as I would like recently. Talking about fiction and non-fiction, usually I have no trouble coming up with non-fiction. The fiction can be a little harder for me to get going with, but I enjoy it. But I have not been writing as much as I would like. Maybe this sounds familiar to you. So I was thinking about why that is, and I think I'm pretty clear on what's going on because I've been doing this for a long time. So I wanted to talk to you today about what's going on inside me, in the hope that some of it might seem familiar and perhaps encouraging to you, that you're not the only one who this happens to. But I think one of the things that happens is not that I don't have time. I'm always banging on here about how you can make time, you don't find it, and I can make time. I can get to my desk. I have my lovely notebook and my pen I love and adore. I have a computer that works. I have Scrivener, and I have Google Docs, and I have paper, and I have all the things I need to be writing, and somehow it's not been happening. But I think I'm not worried, because for one thing, I've been through this before, and for another, I really firmly believe that if you notice that something is going on, it's much easier to deal with it. So I'm not going to go 3 years without writing another story. Not just because I'd have nothing to talk about here if I did, and because you're waiting, and because I'm trying to be a good example. I mean, that's some of it, but I'm not going to go that long between writing jags, because I'm conscious that something's going on, and I'm willing to stare at it and figure out what it is, so that I can figure out what steps I need to take to combat it. So here's one of the things that's going on. Like I said, it's not time, it's not energy, it's not a lack of tools. But I think one of the things that's happening for me is that I am being distracted by all the external stuff. I'm thinking too much about what's going to happen to my stories after they're written. Are people going to judge them? What if I'm holding myself up as this example to you of how to write and be a writer and be happy in your writing life, and then you read one of my stories and you think it's terrible? What if I write a bunch of stories and get rejected over and over and over again? And I know, as well as you do, that these are part of the journey of writing, these fears and these worries, and yet they're still there. No matter how long you do this, these voices are always going to be in your head. What is going on for me at the moment is that I'm giving them too much power. Will I be published? Will people like my story? Should I be using Scrivener, or should I just write in Google Docs? Maybe I should handwrite, but what happens if I handwrite and then I lose the draft, or I forget that I've written it? All of these pieces are the pieces which make writing feel like work. And they're part of the process for sure. But they are not the part that makes me leap out of bed in the morning and run to my desk. They're not the part that actually gets the writing done. All these decisions that are external and distracting and kind of shiny are taking me further and further away from the real reason that I write. Do you know your reason for writing? Now, some of that may be fame and fortune and glory and wanting people to delight people and all of that stuff. That might be part of your reason. But for me, step one of writing is not sitting down and writing a story that's going to delight people. Step one is simply imagining. Both imagining what I might write about, imagining characters that are fun, imagining situations I could get them into, imagining issues that I care about and want to write about and want to illuminate and elucidate and get to use all these fabulous words and rhythms around so that I can touch people's hearts and change their minds, and that's quite exciting, imagining that stuff. But the thing that is like pre-step one is imagining me or you as a writer. And I think it's awfully hard to do any of the other stuff, whether it's the play parts which feel like fun or whether it's the work parts that support the fun. I think it's really, really hard to get any of that done if you don't seriously spend some time imagining and remembering why we're doing this. So I'm going to invite you, if it is safe to do so, not if you're driving your car, but maybe listen to this again later, to just close your eyes and imagine what it's like when the writing is going well. You come and you sit in a place that's the perfect place for you. Maybe it's your desk, maybe you're looking at a beautiful view, maybe you're just looking at a nice picture on the wall. Maybe it's first thing in the morning and the sun is rising. Maybe it's last thing at night, everything is quiet. And you've got this little oasis of time that you're going to use for writing. So picture yourself there, first of all. Who is this person who turns up in that perfect place? Is it someone who is anxious and in a hurry, or is it someone who's expansive and kind of driven to do something, driven to be the most writerly pure version of themselves? And then imagine yourself in the writing and you're in that flow. How does it feel? For me, there's a relief, there's time disappearing, there is just a lowering of stress hormones. I mean, even if the story is difficult and I don't know what to do with the characters and I'm not quite sure where to go next, there's an intellectual exercise where I'm actually taking action on telling the story and working through the problems, and maybe I'm making a mind map, and maybe I'm sketching out the layout of a room, or maybe I'm typing actual words into the manuscript. But there's something happening that is my imagination working, it's me problem solving and taking action to do the thing that I know I love to do, which is write. And there's a physical reaction to that. There's a physical relief. So you're a person with a really good imagination. You're a writer. I want you to take a minute and just sit and imagine that, right? Remember or imagine or project what that feels like when you are in the flow, when the writing's going well, or when you're tackling a thorny problem. What do you physically feel like? Like I say, for me, there's a relief. There's a sense of loss of time. My breathing gets fuller. Sometimes it gets shallower because I'm excited. I'm pulling faces because I'm kind of acting out how the characters are. And if you can imagine that for a moment. And then, once you've imagined that, take a moment to think about how you feel to live the moment of when your writing session is done. And remember that your writing session is probably going to be shorter than you imagine. I'm not talking about grinding out 8 hours a day and exhausting yourself. I'm talking about when you get to the end of a scene or the end of a moment, or you just run out of steam, and it could be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 90 minutes, it could be 3 hours, depending on where you are in your process, depending on where your project is in its process, whether you've practiced and you're up to full strength, whether you're brainstorming or whether you're right in the middle of the opening of a story and the words are flowing, whether you're coasting down the hill towards the resolution and it's just spilling out of you. You're going to have different stamina levels at different times. So whenever you run out of steam and you're like, I'm done for the day, I'm going to put this away, and I just think about how you feel at that moment. For me, I get up and I just feel lighter, and I kind of drift out of that door over there, and I kind of waft down the stairs, and it feels like everything is full of possibility, and I love people, and people are fascinating, and whether I see my family or the people across the street, and I'm filled with like this curiosity about humanity, and everything is possible and wonderful, and it doesn't last because somebody says something to me that is annoying, or somebody looks at me the wrong way, or asks me to do something I don't want to do, and that bubble feeling doesn't last. But it gives me resilience. I have spent time doing something that feeds me. I've spent time that literally changes my physical state, and it just powers me to deal with the little irritations of life in a different way. It makes me feel more expansive and more generous. And having done my writing, I am able to be more generous with other people. And that doesn't just mean other writers. Do you ever find this, that when your writing isn't going well, other people's successes start to rankle, and you get bitter and you get envious, and you're like, well, I could write better than that, and I can't believe she got published, or I can't believe they wrote that episode so badly, and you spend all your time commenting and worrying about other people's creative efforts and being consumed with envy. And nobody likes to live like that, or at least I don't think we do. I think if we're honest and we look deeply down inside, that's not how we want to be living. We want to be creating our own stuff. And when you are creating your own stuff, not only do the irritations of everyday life, they just have this kind of buffer, they kind of bounce off you a little bit more, but you're able to be more generous about other people's success. If your friend gets published, you're genuinely excited for her because you know that if she can do it, you can do it. As long as you are doing the writing, as long as you are working towards building your skills, to being serious about it, to sending your work out if that's what you want to be doing. When your friends have successes, or even people you don't know, when you see them have success, you can feel genuinely happy for them instead of feeling bitter or envious. And it all comes back to doing the work yourself. And when I say work, I mean the play. And that's why I say step one is this imagine stage. And this is what I've been neglecting in my own writing life. I've been thinking about results, I've been thinking about outcomes, external stuff. Some of it is because I'm working on Story a Day and I want to make sure that I'm producing a lot of stuff that's useful to you. Some of it is just because I'm just thinking about the wrong things, and I'm not taking time to do that imagination work of seeing myself as a writer for the right reasons, not for fame and fortune, but because of what it does for me. And then once I am solid in what it does for me, it does start to feel like play. And then once I've had my play, all of the worky bits, the bits that need to be done, like if I want to get published, I have to research markets and I have to keep a spreadsheet of where I'm sending things and I have to do formatting and I have to risk rejection and all of those things. And if I'm not particularly interested in being published by somebody else, there are other things that I might want to do that are beyond the writing. Maybe I want to share the stories with people. Maybe I want to hang out with writing friends, and that means making arrangements and putting things on calendars and doing all the necessary support work around the bit that is just the pure fun. Maybe revision feels like work to you. Maybe first drafting feels like work to you, and revision feels like the fun part. There are parts of this that we need to do that feel more like work, but there are parts that are the pure, fun, rewarding, nourishing parts that we get to do as well. And not everyone can say that about their lives. You know, if somebody comes in from work and they slump in front of the television and they crawl into bed and they get up and they do it all over again tomorrow, I don't think that that slumping in front of the television is as nourishing or rewarding as our writing is to us. I don't think it does as much for people. And so I would invite you at some point, like I say, not if you're driving right now, but or walking or riding a bike or something, but you know, later on, spend some time investing in your own self and your own image of yourself as a writer. And after you've done that, maybe do some free writing about it. Why are you really writing? How does it make you feel? What does it bring to your life? Yeah, you might one day get to bring that joy that you felt when you read your favorite book. Maybe you'll get to bring that to some other reader someday, but that is not why you're writing. I would argue we are writing because it makes us better people. And I really want you to get clear on that, because everything else becomes easier when you do. I am not going to promise you that I'm going to write a certain number of stories or words or work on a particular project over the next couple of weeks, because again, accountability can be good, it has its place, but for where I am right now, that stuff is external and it's distracting and it's got nothing to do with the play. It's got nothing to do with the rewards I'm going to get when I actually sit down and do my writing. So what I will promise is that over the next few weeks, I'm going to work on step one. I'm going to work on the imagination. I'm going to think about stories I might want to write, issues I'm annoyed about, issues I'm happy about, characters who might be able to play with those issues and explore them, worlds that I might be able to inhabit. And I'm really going to work on remembering and imagining and making real that vision of myself at my best when I'm writing, when I've been writing, when I have written. It's just who I am. It's the person I want to be. And I've done this work before, so I can see it clearly. I just wandered away from it for a little bit because life got busy and there were distractions and you know, my mind got pulled off course a little bit. But I know what to do because I've been here before. And if you haven't been here before and you're questioning, am I really a writer? I would argue that yes, you are, because you're listening to this and because you're curious about this. And so I want you to do this imagination, do some free writing on it. Literally picture your best writing day ever and inhabit it in your imagination with your eyes closed. Feel it in your body. Do some writing about it. And then I want you to imagine the most generous, successful, supportive, wonderful, kind voice you can. And it might be a voice from your past. It might be, you know, a grandparent. It might be a teacher. It might be somebody that you never actually met, but just imagine. You can just imagine this generous voice. And I want you to hear them saying, you are a writer. You should be writing. Of course you should take yourself off and do your writing today. Of course you should have fun with your imaginary friends. Why not? Why would you not deserve that? You're a better person. You're a happier person. You're easier to live with when you are being the writer that you know you are. You're a writer. You deserve this time. Off you go. do your writing, have your fun, and remember that you're a writer, and that's okay. It's who you are, and I'm proud of you. And if you don't have somebody that you can imagine saying that to yourself, to you, then I'm saying it to you. You can clip this, you can take this video and you can save it on your phone and you can replay it any time you need to know that I believe in you, I believe you're a writer, and I believe you have a right to spend time playing with your imaginary friends in your imaginary world, because I know what it does for you. I know what it does for your life. I know how it ripples out into your larger life outside your writing. And I don't think you can power that any other way. So I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to work on imagining myself as a writer better, more thoroughly. And I'm assuming that's going to bring me back to a more joyful writing state and a place where I am a more generous, loving, relaxed, expansive human being for the people in my life. And I absolutely wish the same for you. I hope some of this has been helpful. I hope you have a wonderful writing week. And of course, keep writing.
If you want to learn to write, don't read another book or article. Start writing. I'm here to invite you to consider the Story a Day 3-Day Challenge. It's a challenge and a workshop that gets people writing and completing stories in just 3 days. And it works. I'm fanatical about getting more and more diverse stories into the world, and I think yours should be among them. If you're feeling the pull to write or level up your storytelling, let me hold your hand through 3 days of short story writing. Check out the 3-Day Challenge at storyaday.org/3DC.
Hey, I'm back, and I just wanted to let you know that if you're watching or listening to this in real time, I am opening up the Story a Day Critique Week, which I run 3 times a year. I'm opening it up again right now. You can sign up between now and Wednesday if you'd be interested in having a piece read by some other people and getting some comments on them. It's an incredibly supportive, thoughtful, generous group that comes to our critique weeks. You don't need to be scared if you've got something that's first drafty, or if you've never been critiqued before, or if you're looking for a critique on a piece that you think is close to publication standard and you just don't know what else to do with it. We have incredibly insightful people in this group, and you can let us know what kind of critique you're looking for. You know, let us know if it's your first time. Let us know if it's a first draft. Let us know if you really want us to nitpick the heck out of your piece. So it's not a free option, it's a paid option, because it's a lot of hard work, and I am rigorous about how I run this thing. I want people to have a really great experience. What will happen in the group is you will submit something that is up to 3,000 words. It could be a couple of flash pieces. It could be an excerpt from a novel or a memoir. It could be a complete short story. And you can give us those notes at the beginning, telling us about the piece and what you're hoping to get out of the critique, and I will send instructions about that. So usually people submit anything between 1,000 and 3,000 words. You will be read by 3 other people from your group. You will read the work of 3 other people and you'll comment on that. And believe me when I say you will get as much, if not more, out of the reading of other people's work and commenting than you get out of the comments you receive from other people. We also convene for a meeting. It's about an hour and a half to talk about everyone's stories that are in your group, and I do that 3 times. So there's 3 different slots that you can choose, and you can read the 3 stories that you're assigned. You can also read more widely in your group, and when you come to that meeting, we'll have a discussion, wide-ranging discussion about each of the stories. If you can't make it live, it'll be recorded and we'll still discuss your story. and we make notes, we use Google Docs. All of the instructions will come to you. It's very simple. I've been doing this for a number of years now. I can't even tell you how many iterations we've done, but this is how it goes. So if you'd be interested in getting some smart, generous feedback on a story or some of your writing, check your email if you're on my mailing list, because there will be something about that for you, or follow the links in the description and come on over and discover more about the Story a Day Critique Week. If you miss it this time round, it happens 3 times a year, usually one in the summer, one in the fall, and one in the spring. And so actually I think that works for every hemisphere, for both hemispheres. So yep, so you can check them out and you can work up to it if you need to. But I really encourage you not to hold back, not to be scared. Get some feedback on your writing, and you'll be surprised at, it's not all about pointing out what you're doing wrong. Quite often people point out something that you've done really right that you might be taking for granted. So it's also really nice to get that kind of feedback, like, oh, don't cut that line because that line's really good. Okay, and sometimes it surprises me when I get that kind of feedback from people. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's a wonderful experience. I do encourage you to consider it, and if you're on the mailing list, check your email for that. And yeah, consider joining us for the Critique Week. Keep writing.
Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at storyaday.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week, and of course, keep writing.